Hello, good morning. It's Mark Prosser in the UK, and it's my privilege this morning to talk a little bit about ISN coins, otherwise known as the International Silver Network. Before I embark on this presentation, I'd just like to give you a little bit of my background. I'm 63 years of age. I'm a qualified financial advisor. I'm a chartered accountant, and I'm financial director for a reasonably substantial company over here in the United Kingdom. But I use my leisure time effectively and learnt about network marketing about 20 years ago now. And over the course of that time, have helped many people build in their spare time very substantial income streams. And I think over the period of that time have manifestly changed for the better the lives of many people. The International Silver Network is just a business that is the business in the right place at the right time. The global economy is confused, let's put it that way, and people are typically struggling. I constantly question in my own mind the rationale for people spending the whole of their lives exchanging an hour of their time for money, which is the traditional mindset for the employee. Here in the United Kingdom, it shocks me that the human being is still being taught to measure their value in society against a benchmark of a national minimum wage, which today is still less than £7 an hour. That we value a human being at such small value, I find incredible. And it is manifestly the reason why so many people spend the whole of their lives struggling with more month than money, and getting to the autumn of their lives and looking back with regret, being unable at the very time in their lives when they'd like to be doing the things they've always dreamt of finding they just can't afford to do it. Now, network marketing and the International Silver Network is a set of tools which empowers the ordinary person to achieve the extraordinary. So let me take you through a few slides, if I can make the slides work. Okay, ISN. The International Silver Network is about shifting paradigms. It's about education. It's about teaching people how to use their time more effectively. It is about the creation and the preservation of wealth, and that comes through education. I think if you want to change your life for the better, you need to accept that the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. We really do not know what we do not know. And we have to start to study. There are very many mentors out there, and one of mine is Robert T. Kiyosaki. He's written many books, and you should, if you haven't read them, get hold of some of these. Cash flow quadrant is very powerful. It teaches how the majority of the population, 95% of the population, are generationally taught a flawed way of spending their time. This linear exchange of an hour, a week, a month, a year of our lives for money is fundamentally flawed. The 5% of the population who are generationally wealthy or create wealth in their lifetime honestly do not think like employees. And they don't think like employees for a reason, because they've figured it that 95% of the wealth sits with the 5% of the population who break away from consensus thinking and start to do the things that business owners do. Now, remember, as a business owner, it's about making an investment. And the wonderful thing in network marketing is that the investment we make is a time investment. It is not a huge financial investment, therefore there is no risk. We're basically saying to ourselves, instead of being couch potatoes, for goodness sake, we're going to invest that leisure time to improve our lives over a period of the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And that's a fundamental change, and that is a re-education. And it's a re-education that we need to grab hold of, because if we don't, this is the reality. 95% of people are following a consensus plan that's going to leave them in retirement either broke or still working if they survive, and some won't. There's only 5% of the population who will ever get to be financially independent by the time they get to retire. And I tell you, I like the look of those apples a lot more than the ones on the left of the picture. This is the reality. This is current press. We all live in this marketplace. The poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. And there's a reason for that. The poor are getting poorer because they are not prepared to re-educate themselves. You have to re-educate. Systems are changing. The market is changing. The world is changing. And the rich are getting richer, and the super rich are getting massively richer, exploiting through knowledge everything that's going on and using it to their advantage, whilst the majority just keep on doing what they've always done and struggle to figure out why it is they're being left behind and struggling with household bills going up and household incomes going down. Now we need to change that. And that's what ISN is all about, and that's why I'm passionate about ISN, because it's fundamentally about re-education. If you want to be rich, you need to become financially literate. You can't continue to be ignorant and blame society for the fact that you're living in penury. You have to make a decision to change. And ISN, the International Silver Network, is just an education system, because we have to appreciate that the cost of ignorance is massive. We need to study about world finances. You need to understand this stuff. The banks, let me tell you, rule the world. The banks completely dominate global economies. They are very clever. They manipulate you and me. What do they do for us? Well, let me tell you, not very much. It is incredible the way they can manipulate us. Fractional reserve banking. I'm not going to spend ages on it here, but go online, Google, and just Google fractional reserve banking, and you'll go to Wikipedia and it will explain it to you. And it is amazing. I'll give you a quick overview. That if a corporation, say, puts £1 million in its bank account, well, do you realise that a bank can then loan the vast proportion of that million out? And in fact, it's over 95% in the European economy that they can lend out and make interest on. And remember, they charge big interest rates. You know, Bank of England interest rates might only be 0.5%, but the banks in mortgage lending and all the rest of it, they charge a lot more than that. So they retain this £1 million or $1 million deposit, but they can lend out 95% of it, say 950,000. Now 950,000 gets lent out as mortgages, they earn interest on it. People then buy their houses. The people who sold the houses bank the cash again. So that's 950,000 goes back into the bank. The bank can now lend out 90% of that as well. 95%. So they can lend out another 900,000 and charges interest. There was only ever $1 million to start with, but now there's 1.8 million. The banks are lending out and earning interest on. And if those people who borrowed that 900,000 buy houses, the people selling the houses bank the money again, they've now got another 900,000 they could lend out, and so it goes on. So they actually are creating interest, charging us interest on money that actually doesn't exist. They are making a fortune off our backs. As a consequence of everything that's gone on in world economies, and this is mad, you know, we live in a world that most people don't even realize the pound sterling that we operate under in the United Kingdom, do you know once upon a time, a pound represented exactly that, a pound of sterling silver? Well, that tells you, given how much silver's worth today, that in fact the pound today is worth less than 0.5% of its original value. The American dollar is now worth less than 0.5% of the value attributed to it in 1913 when they set up the Federal Reserve Bank in America. We need to understand this because these paper economies are just collapsing around us. And you need to study. Listen to this Robert T. Kiyosaki training. You need to know stuff like this.
So the third new rule of money is, I think the big mistake is, I hear so many people say it's important to save. That's ridiculous. And the reason that's ridiculous is because what happened in 1971 is crucial. In 1971, the US dollar stopped being money. In 1971, the US dollar became a currency. And what that meant is Richard Nixon, in 1971, the president, took us off the gold standard. That's like giving an alcoholic free rein to the bar, or it's like giving somebody who can't control their spending unlimited credit cards. So what's happening is all the savers today are losers. You know, the problem with 1971 is that the federal government keeps printing money, so the value of your money keeps going down. So these people, I'm saving, and if you notice, as the value of the dollar goes down, prices go up. So they call this inflation. You know, you look at it in 1997, oil was about, I think, $10 a barrel. 10 years later, it's about 135 a barrel. So they say it's inflation, but really what it is the dollar's value coming down. So savers are getting wiped out today. So to keep saying to yourself and to your kids to save money, that is not the new rule. That's an old rule. So a very big problem for most people is stop using the word save and use the word hedge. You've got to hedge your money, hedge against losses. Like when I buy a stock, I put a hedge in, I put a stop loss or a put inside of it or a call, whatever I'm doing, I want to stop it. So today, I don't save money, I'm hedging. So in 1997, I started investing in oil, gold, and silver. So as the dollar dropped, oil, gold, and silver went up. So I'm not betting so much on oil, gold, and silver. I'm betting against the US dollar. And that's why this idea that you're going to tell people you need to save money, that's really, really an obsolete idea, because the idea went obsolete in 1971. The US dollar in the last few years has lost almost 80% of its purchasing power. And the prediction is, because this has happened throughout history, it happened thousands of years ago with the Romans, with the Greeks, with the Germans, with the English, the Japanese, and the Chinese. Every time they've made money into a currency, something you could print at unlimited, every time that has happened, the currency has gone to its true value, which is zero. So I am afraid as this economic volatility continues, the savers who were operating by the old rules of money are just going to get wiped out because the purchasing power of their dollar is going to go down. So even if the bank's paying you 5 to 10% interest, you can't keep up with the banks printing money. So that's the old rule of money, is saving money, and the new rule is hedge. You've got to be able to see what's coming up as something else is coming down. The last thing I want to point out to you on this idea of saving money is this. One of the biggest misunderstandings in the world today is what they talk about if I misspell again, apologize, is the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, which I believe was created in 1913. In 1971, the reason 1971 is such an important time was because the U.S. Federal Reserve became the bank to the world. They could print as much money as they wanted. Never in the history of the world has anybody been allowed to print money for the rest of the world. Let me backtrack one more time. I talked about how the Romans did it, the Greeks did it, and all this. Every time people have done this, chaos has broken out, and that's why there's chaos in the world today. So in 1913, when the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank was created, they were basically allowed to print money for the world. Every time that has happened throughout history, a despot has arrived. For example, in 1933, a man named Adolf Hitler rose to power when the Weimar Republic was allowed to print as much money as it wanted to do. And in Russia, when Russia's currency broke down, a man named Lenin rose. When the Chinese economy broke down, Mao Zedong rose. When the Yugoslavian government broke down, Milosevic arose. So we're in that critical point right now, and one of the causes of it was in 1933, this thing called the U.S. Federal Reserve was created. And I think, they've done a pretty good job of making the rich richer. Unfortunately, the poor, many of the poor are getting poor. One of the problems of this is you have to understand that, first of all, the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank is not U.S. It is made up of a bunch of international rich guys from all over the world. The second thing, it is not federal. It's not a U.S. entity. It's kind of, again, a bunch of rich banks from all over the world. Third, it has no reserves. There is nothing there. And fourth, it's not a bank. So that's why when I talk to people, I really need to understand the new rules of money, which really began to take effect in 1971 when we were allowed to print money for the rest of the world, is understanding that this system here is causing the rich to get richer and the poor and middle class to get poorer, but most importantly, the lower middle class is almost getting wiped out. High prices, volatilities in the market, food getting more expensive, gas getting more expensive, savings getting wiped out, home values going around. And the reason the troubles have started again is the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank is not U.S., it's not federal, there's no reserve, it's not a bank. So if you understand that, then you can start to hedge your position rather than save money. And that's the new rule of money.
Okay, I hope you found that useful. You've got to learn this stuff, I mean, he did that a wee while back and things have changed. Right now, world economies, there's strange things going on in Saudi Arabia with regard to oil. Oil at the moment's less than $50 a barrel. It's likely to go down, I think, and again, I was listening to a market strategist from our corporate bank just this week talking about perhaps the price going down to $40 a barrel, but suggesting that within 3 months that's going to go up to $80 a barrel again. So there's huge wealth going to be created in these commodity markets, and we need to learn this stuff, because unless we're hedging, we have to hedge against currencies losing their value, and therefore we have to think in terms of how can we preserve our wealth in a commodity that has real intrinsic value. Now, okay, ISN is all about precious metals, but that makes an awful lot of sense. Saving precious metals, saving silver, saving gold, saving silver coins, gold coins. This has been called the hobby of kings and emperors. It's the hobby of the generationally rich, and we can't afford to ignore it. We have to see what's happening in world markets, and we have to react accordingly. The absolute reality is that if you've got your money sat in a bank account, you are losing your money. It is just literally like setting it on fire. It's literally like putting it down the drain, because its spending power is being deteriorated by the increasing cost of us purchasing products with that cash. And that's just the way it is. Now, ISN is about learning this stuff. It's about creating wealth. It's about preserving wealth. And it's about creating a paradigm shift. It's about taking belief systems, this consensus thinking approach of just doing what everyone else does. This of working for a living the whole of our lives, of thinking we should be saving in a bank account that is exploiting us. We have to rethink this stuff. We have to change our mindset. We have to understand that. And this is fundamental, One of my great mentors is Jim Rohn. And he says, look, there's nothing wrong in working full-time on your living. That makes sense. You know, having a job's fine. I never knock that, because you sort of need that to put the roof over your head, to put the food on the table. But what about the time outside work? You know, there's only 40 hours in the workplace. And if you work it out, there's a lot more hours in the week. And we should be using those hours. There's something like 168 hours in a week. We might work 40 of them. We might sleep 50 of them. And we might want to have some playtime too. But rest assured, we've all got 10, 15, 20 hours a week, which at the moment we're wasting. But what if we could use those hours to leverage wealth through re-education? And that's the paradigm, if you like, that we want to shift people out of, this 95% negative going nowhere thinking, into the 5% group who just use their time better. Now, this is just an analogy, but it's one which most people struggle with. That if I said to you, look, come and work for me today, and I'm going to pay you £1,000 a week. Okay, and you can work for me for 28 weeks. At the end of that period, the consensus thinker would be thinking to themselves, that's 28,000, that's pretty good. And if I conversely said to you, well, come and work with me for 28 weeks, and I'm going to pay you £1 for the first week. That's it, £1. Okay, you don't get the other 999, you just get the £1. And for the second week, you just get £2. And for the next week, you get £4. And for the next week, you get £8. Well, you just get your calculator out and do some sums, because by the end of the 28th week, with that £1 doubling each week for 28 weeks, you will be staggered at how that multiplies. Now, you need to understand this, because this is how networks are built. It's not about thousands of people. It is literally about 2 or 3 people working together in harmony, teaching 2 or 3 people to work together in harmony. It's a really simple process. And when all of us are actually only doing something which makes sense, i.e. becoming a lot more savvy about finance, becoming a lot more savvy about how to hedge, becoming a lot more savvy about how to invest our time for a better future, when we start to appreciate that by creating leverage like this, we can bona fide create financial independence in our lifetime, then that becomes incredibly exciting. And it's why I love teaching it to people, because it is a huge shift in their mindset, and it is the key to success. You have to take control. You have to become a business owner. You have to invest in yourself. You have to take control. You have to take responsibility. And that's what ISN is really. It's an academy. It's an education for a debt-free future. And that makes sense. It's good. It's good to get out of debt. And that's a great mantra for ISN. And it's a great mantra for everybody that I ever interface with, and why I'm so happy to share the culture and the ethics of ISN with the people that I'm closest to. Listen, we live in a world where everybody is involved in referral marketing. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it amazes me in the UK how shy we are. Yeah, we're being mugged. We're being mugged on the high street. We're being mugged at cinemas. We're being mugged. Every time we spend money, we're mugged because we're paying retail prices. Well, those retail prices, they're way, way ahead of the actual cost of the product we're acquiring. The best analogy I ever heard was the trainer, Adidas, Nike, whatever. Hundreds of pounds people pay for these things. They're manufactured for about $2 American a pair. But we're happy to get paid far less than we think we're worth. And then our hard-earned money, we go out and spend £100 on a set of trainers, knowing that they only cost £2. That's madness. But it's another paradigm shift. And what we're all about in ISN is getting people to think differently. Referral marketing is very clever, because referral marketing just says, look, if we recommend something, what's wrong with us getting paid for it? We've all been in network marketing. We've all done referral marketing. Every time we recommend a restaurant, we're referral marketing. Every time we recommend a film or a book, we are referral marketing, but we just never got paid for it. Well, I'm in ISN. I recommend ISN is a phenomenal business, part-time, fun, a wonderful community, and I'm recommending it, and I get paid for it. And I can teach anyone how to get silver for free because that's the nature of the commercial world in which we live. Because once you're in business, as a self-employed individual, you now can get tax deductions on expenses which as an employee you can't get. Now, actually just getting those tax deductions pays for my silver. And I can show you how to do that. So anyone that I interface with, I know I can show them from day one with ISN how to start collecting silver for free, funded totally by their tax savings. Now that's incredibly powerful, and I'm more than happy to refer that and recommend that to anybody. I've met these guys. I was fortunate enough to go on an international conference with them last year. Young men, a lot younger than me, very dynamic. I love their ethics. I love the mission of ISN. Do you know, we feed starving children. Every single coin that ISN distributes out to its network of distributors feeds a starving child somewhere in the world. That's incredibly powerful. Referral marketing, Amazon do it, Groupon do it, everybody does it. And precious metal, well, everyone should just be getting into precious metal. You're mad to ignore it.
Gold and silver is God's money. It's money made by God. And then in 1971, the U.S. government under President Nixon took God's money and turned it into man-made money. Never in the history of the world has this ever happened. In 1971, the U.S. and Nixon convinced the entire world to replace gold and silver with paper money. This stuff, cash is trash. So the reason we have so much volatility in the world today is historically, since the time of the Romans and the Greeks and the French and the English and the Germans, every time they have taken God's money, like silver here, and replaced it with man-made money, there's been economic volatility. Now the problem is, so the dollar is going to keep dropping. So one of the reasons I can predict what's going to happen is I can predict the dollar will keep dropping simply because the US government and now the euro, the European central banks, are printing so much of this trash. So you'll see gold going up in price, oil going up in price, real estate going up in price, because this is trash. So that's what happened in 1971, has happened throughout history. And the reason this current election doesn't make any difference is the only person they can put this back in place is a strong, charismatic leader. People like Julius Caesar, Napoleon. That's why they were such great leaders, was they actually replaced this with this. So there will be more this printed than ever before, which means the dollar keeps coming down and other things keep going up. And that's really what's going to happen. It's predictable. And eventually this will go to its true worth, zero. So all of you savers out there and people trying to save this trash, you're going to lose big time. To me, I've been saying this for a number of years now, silver is the biggest opportunity I have ever seen, bigger than real estate, bigger than anything else. And silver, as we're talking today, 2008, is about $15 an ounce. Mm-hmm. There's less than 10 years supply worth of silver on planet Earth. The difference between gold and silver is gold is hoarded, silver is consumed. Silver is an industrial precious metal. It is used in cell phones, telephones, computers, electric lights, everywhere. The more information age we become, the more we use silver. And what Michael is saying is that stockpile is at all-time lows, and they're not discovering much more. Poland has about 25% of the world's silver, so you know, buy real estate silver in Poland. You know, but anyway, so when people say, where am I investing? I say, I'm investing in the world. So what do you mean by that? So I'm investing in a metal that is consumed throughout the world.
Okay, listen, it's an there's actually less silver on planet Earth than there is gold, believe it or not, and silver is being consumed. Now, understand also the banks are very clever and the wealthy are very clever, and there is a lot of manipulation going on in terms of fixing the prices for commodities. It's just the way it is. And the absolute reality is the price of silver and gold today does not reflect the balance between supply and demand. It reflects the fact that people are manipulating the price for their gain. Now, bear in mind here, when banks are printing all this money, and they can print paper money at will in real terms, just go online and research who's buying big chunks of silver and gold. And you'll find that Barclays have built a bullion centre in the city of London. HSBC is hoarding silver bullion. Look, you know, there's a lot of clues out there, and you need to be savvy, and you need to pick up on what people are doing and what the people in the know are doing. We need to be acquiring silver and gold, either in numismatic form or in pure bullion, either or. But for me, I actually quite like the numismatic coins, but I'm also collecting the bullion as well. But the reason I'm collecting the numismatic MS-70s is because when you research back in history, well, I'll let this video do the talking, actually, if I can just get it going.
Let's consider the different values of bullion and certified coins. So the question is, should I just buy bullion? After all, I get more silver for my money. So what is the real value of an MS-70? Let's take a look at the perfectly graded MS-70 American Silver Eagle. The most respected grading company in the world is NGC. Let's look at the values they give for the MS-70 American Silver Eagles. MS-70 1986, $660. 1987, $2,190. 1988, $2,630. 1989, $810. 1990, $1,660. 1991, $4,590. 1992, $1,720. 1993, $3,160. 1994, $1,660. 1995, $780. 1996, $4,560. 1997, $1,090. 1998, $970. 1999, $21,880. 2000, $5,630. 2001, $840. 2002, $200. 2003, $163. 2004, $169. 2005, $188. 2006, $110. 2007, $85. 2008, $79. 2009, $91. 2010, $93. 2011, $104. Consider this. If you'd bought just one MS-70 American Silver Eagle each year from 1986 to 2011, you'd have 26 certified coins worth $56,112. 26 bullion coins from the same years are only worth $910. What if you'd been on a monthly auto saver since 1986? You'd have spent an estimated $27,672 on the 312 MS-70s. However, your collection today would be worth $673,344. 312 bullion coins would only be worth $10,920. A bullion-only strategy would have cost you $662,424. Knowledge is power.
I just love that. I love Peter Thompson's presentation style, and I love the content. You just need to do the research yourself. When I was looking for a vehicle into which I was going to invest my time for the rest of my life, and I started to study numismatics, silver and gold, and I started to understand all of this stuff, let me tell you, it was a no-brainer, because there was no way I was going to not take full advantage of everything that's going on in world markets. Bear in mind, when you become part of ISN, you actually get Peter Thompson thrown in, because I mean, and the cost of it, I mean, what he charges for a day's training is ridiculous, but we get this all provided within our monthly auto ship, and you can go into your back office and you get regular updates, training, personal development, market training, everything. Absolutely superb added value. Peter Thompson is speaking, by the way, January the 24th down in Croydon. I'm going down. I'm speaking at that conference as well. Looking forward to that. January the 24th down in Croydon. Make a note of it. Be lovely to see you down there. Okay, the absolute key is to understand that the stuff that's being taught to you here is the stuff the 5% operate under. The 95% seemingly either don't know this stuff or are just stupid and don't act on it. Now, the key here is realizing that we've all got downtime. We've all got downtime. And what ISN is all about, it's an opportunity to use that downtime to leverage it and to create for ourselves that financial infrastructure, if you like, which can provide an income that grows over the remainder of our tenure on planet Earth. And our most precious asset is time, the time to do the things we want to do. So really now is the best time to be investing that to create a better future for ourselves and for our families. Within ISN, there are 10 different ways for you to make money. I'm not even going to cover most of them. The only one I'm going to cover is this one, the core commissions. All of the rest of it, to me, yeah, it's nice, but it's peripheral. Yeah, it's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is royalty income. I'm looking for something which builds over time, and over time bears no relationship whatsoever to the time I'm putting in, because it's returning me for the time I put in today, if you can understand that. Like an author writes a book, might take 2-3 years to write it, no pay. But 5-10 years, if that becomes a bestseller, every time it sells, he's going to get a royalty check, or she's going to get a royalty check. And that's what building networks is about. It's investing time at the front end, accepting the fact that you're going to do the things today for which you're not going to be paid, so that you can reap the harvest down the line. And that's what ISN's all about. Now, ISN, just so you understand it, when we get started in ISN, we invest about £200. That gets us our first piece of silver. And we make a commitment to our one and only business overhead, which is $125 a month. It works out about £100 in the UK. That's it. You know, for anyone who's ever run a business, I've never found a business that would allow us to operate with such low monthly overheads. Bear in mind, all of these costs, your $200 joining fee, your £100 a month, tax deductible. So if you've got employment at the moment and you're paying a rate of tax, you can deduct this, all gets refunded. Remember also, all of your costs, your mobile phone, your broadband, all of this stuff you can deduct. I can structure it for you if you're employed at the moment, where you will get your business startup and you will get your silver every single month totally for free, just by taking full advantage of tax breaks. So that's very easy to recommend that, because what business can you have where basically you're acquiring solid silver every single month and it's totally for free? And then you get paid for recommending that to somebody else. It's madness. Now, that's just the way it is. Now, you know, for your £100 a month, you get so much. You get a whole series of websites. You get all the training from Peter Thompson. You're part of a community. You're collecting silver for free. You've put your savings or your hedging strategy on autopilot, and you need to do that. You need to put stuff on autopilot. I've noticed if I say I'm going to do something, it's easy not to do it. But if you've actually committed to a standing order, my silver arrives every single month. And it just comes in. It's a direct debit. It's like my mortgage. You know, I'm committed to it. Nothing's going to stop me, right? Because it's just so fundamentally sound advice to be changing paper money into solid silver assets. The key then is, remember that 28 weeks, you can get paid 28 lots of 1,000, or you can have £1 a week that doubles each week for 28 weeks. Well, we're going to take it beyond that. Within ISN, I recommend work with 3 people. Just find 3 kindred spirits and these should be people you enjoy the company of. You should want to dine with them. You should want to have barbecues together. You should want to go for a walk with them, maybe even go on a holiday with them. They should be people you enjoy the company of and share the culture and the philosophy of creating and preserving wealth, understanding everything I'm trying to teach you here. I'm only ever looking, and I've found 2 or 3 people already, perhaps a few more than that, who I'm very comfortable working with, and I will work with them for the rest of my life. And all I'm going to do is help them find 2 or 3 people exactly the same way, who they're going to build relationships with. Their lives are going to be very close. We'll be sharing cultures. We'll be sharing philosophies. We'll be having loads of fun. We'll be acquiring silver for free every single month and teaching other people how to take advantage of that with ISN. We're going to shift the people's perspectives from the 95% consensus thinking perspective that's taking them nowhere into the 5% perspective, which is going to acquire for them real wealth in their lifetime. If you'd like to perhaps join with us and understand this a little bit better, then do get back, obviously, to the person who perhaps invited you to watch this recording or attend this webinar, and just pick their brains. If you speak to me, speak to anybody within the organization at ISN, because all of us are here to help you. Now, remember, I talked about royalties, and it's important to understand that, because by helping 3 people get started, start collecting silver for free, remember, you get this referral income. It works for each person within your organization. You get a thank you check of $6 a month. That's it. So with 3 people, you get $18. You help them build that same structure. 3 begets 9. So 9 people, then you get $6 for each person. So you get $72 a month, which is not, remember what I said, you're going to put the work in at the front end. It's not really work. It's having a meal with someone. It's having a chat with someone. But hey, you get paid for it as well, and you're collecting silver for free. Teach them to teach the people. Remember, get them bonding, get them creating a community, and the income starts to grow. Now, okay, $234 might not seem a lot, but it's $2,500 a year. I think that makes already a lot of difference to the lives of many people. But more importantly, we're building a community. We're sharing really good philosophies. We're sharing really good ideas. And what a wonderful way to spend our lives, rather than as couch potatoes, just wasting the evenings and wondering where time disappears to. Now, that next level, 3927, now the magic starts to happen, because it's the power of mathematics. We're up now to $720. This is starting to become life-changing. And as it starts to develop, listen, it's going to take time. Don't think this is all going to happen in a week, a month. It won't, but it's very, very attainable if you get your mindset right. Over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you can build for yourself a really solid and really substantial income stream that is materially going to change the outcome of your life, because these are big chunks of money. And at just the 3rd level here, if you follow this through, we actually get the additional bonus of an ISN Mercedes, and that kicks in just at this next level now. 27, we start flowing into the next level. We're getting towards gold. Our income's building to about $700, $1,000 a month, and then the company throws in a $600 car allowance to enable us to get ourselves a Mercedes. And that's wonderful, because look, we're learning so much new stuff. We're empowering and changing the lives of a very small number of people, 2 or 3 people personally, teaching them to duplicate that. We're now driving a Mercedes. We've now got in UK money probably $500 a month coming in, an extra $6,000 a year part-time. And we know that there's no limit on this. No one's saying it's £7 an hour. You're on national minimum wage. The only person who put a ceiling on our incomes is us. And that's down to how much time we invest and how proactive we are. Now, this is real. There are real people out there who are getting these cars all over the country, and in fact, all over the world. And you need to ask yourself the question, might it be worth getting involved in an organization like this, where there's a community of people that will help you? People don't really understand the level of support in network marketing and the level of support specifically in ISN, because people like me will work with you for the rest of our lives to improve your family's wealth. Now, people like me normally charge a lot for our time, but we give our time to you for free, because that's the community in which we operate. And listen, our total overhead, and remember, this is all tax deductible. I'll show you how you can get this all back in real terms. And you're collecting silver for this every single month, silver for free effectively. And that's it, lock, stock and barrel. And even if you weren't getting all the tax breaks and you were actually spending this money, this is a $5 a day. Per working day. It's a cup of coffee and a sandwich. That's it. And you're building a financial future for yourself with ISN. And you get all of this thrown in. And it isn't just about the website. It's not just about the silver. It's about the community. It's about the fraternity. It's about a group of people all working towards a common aim, which is helping people to do something better in their lives and improve the outcome of their lives. And with ISN, when we're doing this and we're collecting silver and we're also feeding starving children all around the world, I don't know, that sort of makes me feel pretty good. And obviously I mentioned you're getting your coin every month, and that's absolutely brilliant, because it's just good to touch it and feel it. I love seeing my collection build, and any of you come over and have a natter with me, come and have some lunch with me one day, I'd happily show you my collection of silver and talk to you about it for hours, because I love this hobby. Now, this is really important to me, because in network marketing, I didn't want to be building a business which, if I died, I couldn't pass on to my wife or my children. And the network that I ally myself to will always allow me to will my business to somebody else. In other words, I need to know that I'm building something that is willable. And you're doing that with ISN. We can all pass our businesses on to our families. And what a phenomenal environment this is, where we can work for the next 5, 10, 15 years in the knowledge that our wives and our children, or our spouses and our children, can benefit from that income long after we've gone. Now, that is incredible, because there's not an employer on planet Earth who'll continue to pay any one of us after we've left that employment. But within ISN, we're building something that's a true legacy. And it's important that we realize this. We have to change. Don't be a prisoner of the past. Be a pioneer of the future. Build freedom for yourself. Build income for yourself. Protect yourself in retirement, and put some security around yourself and your family. Protect your financial future. The vehicle, A to B, I think A to B is probably a misnomer. We're going different places. The bus takes you to a place you don't want to go. If you want to stay on the bus and get down to the end of your life and look back with regret, fine, but it's a slow journey. It's not very pleasant. It's damned uncomfortable. And rest assured, you get into a Ferrari and you hear the buzz of that Ferrari engine, and you're driving a thoroughbred. That's far more exciting. And that's what you're doing with ISN. You're moving yourself up a notch. You're moving yourself away from the 9 to 5. You're putting yourself in control of your life. So look, I've probably said enough. Contact me if anyone's got queries anytime. 07903 665274. Mark at successcodex.com, SUCCESS codex.com, all one word. Always refer to me. Let me know who's introduced you. Let me know who invited you to watch this webinar or this recording, and I will personally help you. I'll help you get started and make sure you're introduced to all of the people that you will need to meet to give you the best opportunity of making a fast start. So what have you got to lose? And more importantly, what have you got to gain? Well, I think that's enough for this morning, this Saturday morning. I don't know whether I can put chat on here. Let me see. Go back here, stop screen sharing. Here we are, chat. So if anyone's got any questions, I've got the chat going there. Hopefully you'll have a chat there. Any questions? If you got any questions, let me know and I'll try and deal with them for you. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything flying through there, so I'm going to stop the broadcast. Wish you a very happy weekend. Hope you've got some value out of today. All the best to you. Have a wonderful year 2015. If you've got questions, don't hesitate to drop me an email, give me a telephone call, and thanks ever so much for your time. Bye-bye now.